You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. Let me see if I can cover this in a 10-minute segment. But this week's garden column was on gardening for newcomers. If you're new to the area, this is a different place. We are a 4-season climate, but because of our altitude, our dryness, and our water, and our wind, and our sun, altitude, it changes. There's some variables that change. And so I was explaining, so let me see if I could just expound upon that. So if you happen to catch that, if you're part of our garden club, you can sign up and you got that article directly from my desktop to yours. If you get the local paper, any of them, it was this week's column they published. And so we started with zones. We are a zone 7. 7 means plants need to go freezing. They need to go down to close to 0, about 10 degrees before they freeze and die. And so zones are the lower the number, the more cold they will take. So a lilac could be a zone 2, 3, or 4. They go down to minus 40 degrees. We'll never see that. So you need plants that can grow from zone 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down 7 and below, and you're good to go. And so if you go above that, you're going towards Phoenix. Phoenix is more like 10, so garden zone 10. They never see freezing. If those plants, you take a saguaro, and if they even see cold, they'll freeze and die. They turn to black mush, fall over, and just ficus. That's a house plant up here. But down there, it's a yard plant they use around the pool. But it's a zone 10. So you're looking at your zones. It's how cold can they go in winter before they are damaged. And so you folks that are tuned in from Sedona, maybe Camp Verde, Cottonwood, okay, that's maybe Cordis Junction, Hillside, Skull Valley, Kirkland going the other way, you're probably a zone 8. So you need plants that can go down to about 15 degrees. You definitely get cold. That's a 4-season plants. You need plants that can take that. And so it just comes out. You folks on the ridgelines, Highland Pines, Groom Creek, the Williams, Ash Forks, Seligman. You get that cold wind up there, you're going to be a zone 6. Flagstaff is zone 5. So you need plants that can go down below 0. Because it gets colder there. But generally speaking, we're going to be a zone 7 plus or minus. You're 6, 7, or 8. Yeah, but I'm different. I'm from Prescott Valley. No, you're the same as all the rest of us. You're a zone 7. Come on, zone 7. Yeah, but I live in Paulding. You're a zone 7. Actually, you might be a zone 6 because that cold air spills off of Ash Fork towards you, settles right there in that valley. So you actually get the most extreme out in Paulding. Chino Valley, just a few miles this way. You guys are zone 7. We're a zone 7 plus or minus. You need plants that can get close to 0. So when you're looking at the tag, just know what you're dealing with. If it says zone 9, 10, 11, 12, those are desert plants. The buyer just said, ship 50 of those to all my stores. I don't care. They'll buy them. And they're selling you a plant that will die in the winter. So you want plants that can come back. So let's look at your zones. We do have, this is going to be for you folks from the Midwest. Our elevation can cause, you have geraniums right out there in full sun. Folks in California, you love your Japanese maples. You always ask for them. That is a shade plant here. It doesn't like our midday sun in June because of the elevation. Yeah, but they grew in full sun in my yard and in wherever. In LA, well, they won't do it here. Or if they do, it'll be the ugliest plant you've ever seen. You'll hate it. The leaves will scorch, you'll get brown tips. They just aren't going to perform well. The leaves will be small. Put it in the shade. It'll take some morning sun, but it won't take that midday sun. It's going to need more protection. And so that's maybe a little caveat, a little different than what you're used to where you came from. It'll be different. It's an elevation thing. The sun is just more intense here. There's less atmosphere. So we're a mile up in the air. It's just less, the sun is more intense and it'll affect your plants. Your geraniums, it says grows in full sun, and they'll do fine, but I find they bloom longer, better, stronger when they got a little midday protection. They love the morning sun, that late day sun, no problem. Middle of the day, that's what gets it. Here's the biggest one. This is for you folks in the upper Midwest, folks. You're used to like I don't know, 8 foot topsoil. I mean, come on, Iowa. How you could throw this microphone out in the soil, it would start to grow there. The soil is just so good. Here, we don't have soil, but you're probably going to have to make soil or bring it in or just raised beds. So we've got caliche, rocks. You've never heard the word caliche till you got here. It's this calcium layer that's like bone. It's solid. It does not perk. And so that'll affect you. So you need to reintroduce organics into your soils. There's a few old farms around. I mean, you go out towards Dewey. There's a few old ranches where they've been farming for a while. Skull Valley the same way, but those are rare. Most of us are in that new subdivision where they just took any soil that we did have, they scraped it off, leveled everything, put your house down. And if you just grow in that, you don't amend it, those plants they just won't grow. They don't die, but they won't grow. They'll sit there and look at you for years. They'll almost mock you going, I defy you to make me grow. I'm not going to do it here. And so they just sit there for years. It's because that soil doesn't have there's no worms. There's nothing good about that soil. So they just sit there. But if you add some organics, so we always push, you need 3 things whenever you plant. You need mulch to reintroduce some organic material. You need some food because there's no nutrients whatsoever in your soil. It's just not going to be there. You're going to have to supplement it. You'll need to fertilize more often here because of that than maybe you're used to. But if you do it, it's magic. I mean, it's like an oasis. Your neighbors will be going, how did you pull that? I've been trying for years to garden like that. How'd you do that? There's this crazy guy on the radio. I listened to him. He said, hey, we need to fertilize more often, amend our soil. And then I said, we need 3 things when you plant: mulch, food, root and grow. Root, we make a compost tea. Plants are going to go into shock when you put them in the ground. They're going to freak out. They're not going to like that heavy soil. They're not going to like the sun. They're not going to like if you get some compost tea, we call it root and grow. It helps stabilize it and it starts to put out new roots. It just takes every time. You put those 3 things down with every vine, every fruit tree, every shade tree, every perennial. Every time you plant those 3 things, it'll be a game changer for you. Just a few extra. If you're going to spend $100 on a new shade tree, you might as well spend the extra $10 and give it the stuff it needs to really thrive and become a real tree quickly for you. If you're putting fruit trees in, a must. You just need that. Another thing to watch while we're on trees: wind. We do have the wind is more intense up here. So you're going to need to protect plants, especially trees, from the wind. So they're going to want to blow. They're going to want to give way to the wind. So they're like a huge parachute. When they first leaf out, they'll just catch all that wind. They start to lean. And our wind comes from a prevailing southwest, day and night, never stops, always blowing in spring. So it starts about March. April, May, June, it's blowing. And then the monsoons come and it changes it up. But you need to stake those trees so they stay upright, especially if you're doing fruit trees. So they're going to load up with 300 pounds of apples or pears or peaches or cherries, apricots, nectarines, whatever it is. They're going to load up with fruit. If they're leaning to the northeast because of that southwest wind, they can load up and they'll just literally fall over. They'll literally fall out of the ground. I've literally seen the roots leap out of the ground. And so stake them so they're straight, at least for that first year or 2, and then they will always be straight. So it's something maybe you haven't done in other parts of the country, but you need to do it here. That, and I would say the biggest thing I adjusted to when I started growing here, the water is very alkaline, so which makes all of our gardens alkaline. Now, this is a rare thing. The rest of the country, every other radio show, every other TV show, every other garden program, they're telling you to add hydrated lime. I don't even sell lime, or I might. I can't remember. I'll try to talk you out of it if you have it, because it makes the soil more. We're so acidic, it makes it more alkaline. We don't do that ever here. We're always trying to make the soil acidic. Bring that pH down. We're trying to change the chemistry, make it more acidic all the time. So all of our foods that we sell here, we put soil sulfur in them So it works with the food to make things more acidic. So you'll find your soil is more alkaline here because of that. So it causes yellow leaves, smaller fruits. They turn yellow. It does some things. There's some insider tips for the newcomers near the area. Be a game changer for you. Water's garden companion plants of February are Calgary carpet juniper, lily of the valley, pinyon pines, and peony.
Your grandmother would fall in love with these larger peony with so many colors to choose from.
There's nothing like the enormous flowers to add stunning pops of color.
Endearing springtime blooms are more than fragrant with luscious double flowers.
Shop the most perennial peonies in Prescott by store or online at watersgardencenter.com. For a more fruitful garden, increase success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit watersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Waters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.